This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our friend Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.com, all things Illinois policy related. Really the best site to go to if you want to track not just what's happening in the policy world in Illinois as it relates to your quality of life, but also get the most thoughtful, data-rich reviews of what's happening. Ted Dabrowski, and we'll talk to him a little bit more about this larger report when he joins us for our weekly conversation tomorrow, but he made a little pilgrimage to Decatur to talk about the student achievement, or more to the point, lack thereof, in Decatur. Wait till you hear these statistics. And it's not just Decatur. Rockford, Peoria, Quincy, Mount Vernon, Elgin, Waukegan, and, of course, Chicago. K through 12 funding in this state has gone up at a 45-degree angle for the last 30 years, minimum, 40 years minimum, actually. Think about the money that's spent, continue to spend, $30,000 per kid, certainly per high school graduate in Chicago, for example. You know, a multiple of what's spent by private schools educating children. Ted Dabrowski.
When I first saw that only 2% of third grade black kids at Decatur Public Schools could read at grade level, I didn't think it was true. And so I quickly clicked over on the Illinois State Report Card to look at math results. Amazing, only 1% of kids could do math at grade level. Know that it's not much better for Decatur's white kids. Just 16% of white third graders were reading at grade level in 2019. The scores in Decatur are so low that the district has achieved a perverse form of equity where all students, regardless of color, are failing. These trends continue all the way through graduation. 74% of Decatur high school kids graduate, and yet only 13% of them can read at grade level, and only 11% are proficient in math. It just doesn't add up.
1% of third graders math at grade level. 2% read at grade level. 74% graduate high school. Only 13% are reading at grade level. Only 11% are doing math at grade level. Oh, and this is the great thing. What's the review of the teachers in Decatur per the Illinois State Board of Education?
The Illinois State Board of Education covers up the system's failures by selling feel-good numbers on teachers and school quality. No more than 16% of Decatur students are proficient in math or reading, and yet 99.7% of all teachers in the Decatur system were rated proficient or excellent in teaching.
All the teachers are excellent, and none of the kids can read or do math.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
All the teachers are excellent, proficient, according to the adults, backslapping the adults in the system. And none of the kids can read or do math. Well, yeah. 11%, 13%, 1%, 2%.
16% reading at a grade level.
You look at it grade by grade, and of course, what do you find? When you're behind in third grade, you never catch up. Are you going to catch up in these school systems? No. So again, tell me more about how the political class, particularly the left, since they're in charge of both schools, but the Republican Party in the state has been asleep at the switch for a long time. They bear some culpability. Tell me again how much you care about minority families, minority kids. Tell me more about your racial equity. Tell me more about your identitarian politics. as practice in the classroom. What are these schools other than babysitting services and indoctrination centers? I mean, they're not places where you educate children. That's pretty clear, isn't it? Oh, you think charter schools are the singular answer? As I've often said, charter schools, yes, anything that provides competition. And the charter school is such an indictment of the neighborhood school, because if the idea is to improve educational options by removing the requirements of the neighborhood school for the charter school, then why are the requirements in place for the neighborhood school? Can anybody pass a Logic 101 course here? But charter schools are still government schools. And they still routinely get captured by the teachers' unions and these educrats. What's going on with the charters in Decatur?
Charter schools are supposed to give parents another option, but here at Robertson Charter School, only 2% of kids can do math at grade level, and only 7% can read at grade level. And yet, the Illinois State Board of Education rates this school as commendable.
Commendable.
Wow.
It's not the only school that's commendable. Most of the schools in Decatur are commendable, and all of the teachers, 99.7%, are excellent.
Despite their dismal outcomes, a third of Decatur schools were given the state's second highest rating of commendable in 2019. These failures have been allowed to continue for years in Decatur and in hundreds of other school districts statewide, condemning countless children to finish school neither college nor career ready.
I should say most, a plurality, a third. Commendable. Third of the schools are commendable. All the teachers are proficient and excellent, and very few kids can read or do math. How does that happen? What's going on here? Do you see the disconnect?
Smoke and mirrors.
Is it stark enough? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. So here's Ted Dabrowski on how this happens.
What is it that allows these dismal student outcomes to persist without end? You can blame the state's self-perpetuating educational industrial complex. A weave of labor laws, generous benefits, complex bureaucracies, powerful administrators, and even more powerful unions ensure the system is protected against criticism from parents and taxpayers.
Who's not for more? You see that it's in the debates. Who's not for more money for schools? Raise your hand. Oh, not me.
Gotta care about the kids. It's about the children, right? So they're throwing money at this, and nothing's getting better.
Rockford, black students, third grade.
I'm ready.
Percent of third grade students that can read at grade level. These are 29 ISBE numbers. Black students, let's be specific. Rockford, 7%. Peoria, 8%. Mount Vernon, 0%. In Quincy, white students, percent of third graders that read at grade level, since it's, majority white, overwhelmingly.
What is it?
28%. Elgin, Hispanic, since that's the dominant racial cohort in U46. 11%. 11% of third graders read at grade level. 11% Hispanic third graders read at grade level in Elgin. Black kids in CPS, 30%. Hispanic kids in Waukegan, 16%. These, I've been saying this for so long, I'm almost bored with it. Maybe some of you are bored hearing me say it, but these are death of civilization numbers. Death of civilization numbers. There is no way Illinois gets better with schools that are producing this. But there's no problem because it's nobody's fault. Certainly not the people in charge. We know that. I'm sure I would hear from teachers, it's not my fault, it's the parents' fault. Administrators would say it's the parents' fault. Parents will say it's the administrators, the teachers' union.
And then
Teachers' union administrators will say it's the legislators.
And then they'll say throw more money at
Legislators will say it's the governor. Yeah, and then we all come together and we agree to spend more money to make some of the highest paid teachers and administrators in the Western world, particularly when you include their guaranteed seven-figure pensions, and that makes it all better. I mean, if you are not stunned by these numbers, you have to look away. I mean, that's the other thing, too, that happens. There's just willful blindness.
Yeah. Remember that lady?
Waukegan, Chicago, Elgin, Decatur, Mount Vernon, Quincy, Peoria, Rockford. And you could dig in deeper, and you're going to find jarring statistics in a lot of other school districts around the state, too. But those are some big ones, aren't they? Chicago and Elgin represent the top two in terms of size. And here's what happens, just so you understand. I'm sure most of you do. Here's what happens when you're behind in third grade. Just by the numbers, give you an example of what's happening in Decatur School District 61. Percent of black students that meet or exceed grade level requirements. Grade 3, 2% reading, 1% math. Grade 4, 6% reading, 3% math. Grade 5, 7 and 2. Grade 6, 5 and 1. Grade 7, 5 and 2. Grade 8, 7 and 4. Grade 11, 5 and 4. You're done, in other words. Over. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of children. Done. And done in by this system. Okay.